For more on this issue, we're joined by Wangari Maathai, an environmental and political activist and the founder of the Green Belt movement in Kenya. She also won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2004. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Let me ask you, what is the connection between intensive logging and climate change?
Well, I think most of us know that the lungs of the planet are forests, and forests are the major carbon sinks. And so anything that will retain the carbon, continue to trap the carbon in the atmosphere is very important. And it is the trees, and especially these major forests.
Is climate change worse in Africa than it is in other parts of the world?
Well, every scientist that is involved in the studies of climate change is saying Africa will be very adversely impacted. And I think it is partly because she does not have as great a capacity to adapt as many other developed countries, and also she's not prioritizing. And because of her geographical positions, she has the Sahara and the Kalahari Desert. It is in her interest to wake up on the fact that the climate is here.
Right, and who should be taking the lead? Should it be local communities, or should it be the government in connection with them and the international community?
All of the above, in fact, because the African governments must prioritize the issue of climate change. Communities must be involved so that they're educated to stop the destructive, especially agricultural activities like slash and burn. And the international community needs to understand that climate justice is an important issue. Africa has contributed very little to the damage. It should be assisted to adapt so that it can survive.
And a big question is it possible to balance the needs for economic growth with protecting the environment? How do you do that in a continent like Africa without stymieing its economic growth?
Well, this is a question that is partly used as an excuse to not pay attention to the environment. It is very important for us to appreciate that we are part of the environment. And whether it is a poor region like Africa or the industrialized region, or even the upcoming economies such as China and India, there is nowhere that we can develop without creating a balance or having a good balance between what we do to the environment and being able to survive in the future, and not overburdening the future generations.
Are African governments making this a priority? Can they afford to, when there are so many other issues, like you talked about, like good governance that they need to take care of? What is the connection between the environment and good governance? Well,
the truth of the matter is, if they have good governance, they will manage whatever resources they have in a responsible way, in an accountable way. They will fight corruption. They will make sure that resources are more equitably distributed, and therefore there is not so much poverty and conflicts, and therefore people will be more willing to develop, but at the same time take care of the environment. We don't have to cut every tree before we collapse and before we die. We need to understand that we are part of the environment. We cannot afford to destroy the base upon which our survival depends.
Okay, thank you very much, Wangari Maathai.
Thank you very much.